This is John I, and I'm making a recording of how I worked step 2 incorrectly. The way I worked step 2 incorrectly, I knew I had to work the 12 steps to recover, but I think I worked them incorrectly almost every way it was possible to work them incorrectly. And it didn't work for me until I learned how the steps were originally worked. And then I tried that, and I did recover. And so I would like to share with you how I worked the steps wrong in order to maybe help someone else avoid repeating unnecessary mistakes. How to work step 2 wrong. The step says we came to believe that a power higher than human power could restore us to sanity. It should not surprise you that I did not like the word insanity or sanity. I didn't think I was insane, and therefore I did not think I needed to be restored to sanity. I would have said, oh, sure, there's a lot wrong with me, but I certainly was not insane. And as for believing there's a power higher than human power, I didn't do very well in that either. I was not a particularly religious person. I did go to church, and I really did my best, and I did have some very personal experiences connecting with God as I understood God. But to my really horror and regret, I was not able to get free of my addiction simply by connecting to God as I understood God. That really grieved me because I believed that God could do anything. And then I was left wondering why God wasn't able or willing to do this one thing for me. So working step 2 incorrectly, well, I simply didn't understand. I was not supposed to believe that God could change me or anybody, but that I was come to believe. That's actually what it says. We came to believe, and that means there will be a journey involved. I would start in one place, and I would end up in another place. I would come to that new place, and in that place, there would be a power higher than human power that could restore me to sanity. So, in my particular case, I had to go through an exercise with the help of other people in recovery that involved writing down everyone I knew in my life who had had real power over me in my life. My father, my mother when I was young, an older brother, an older sister, neighbors, teachers, adults, police officers, doctors, lawyers. I made a long list of people who did, in fact, have more power than me in some way. And they were all people. No Superman. It was just ordinary human beings, but they all had a power I did not have. And then I listed out the ways in which they, in some way, had proven to be flawed or limited, as all humans are. Some teachers might be impatient, might have been mean, had bad personal problems that they took out on the kids, never perfect, might have had parents who meant perfectly well. But because of whatever huge personality difference between myself and them, I just couldn't get along with them sometimes. And so I thought about things like police officers and ministers and all kinds of authority figures who gave me advice, and I just didn't want to hear it. It became a little clearer to me that I couldn't really have faith that humans were ever superhuman. Did you hear what I said? Humans are not superhuman. My parents were human. Teachers, doctors, everybody else, they're human. So my journey was from believing there was a human greater than anyone else. And I realized there really wasn't. So next, I accepted the suggestion that I try to describe what a power would be like if it was higher than human power. Would it be more patient than any human could possibly be? Maybe the people I knew in my life had made mistakes, and maybe this power would never make a mistake. Maybe the people I knew around me didn't love me, couldn't love me. Maybe I wanted a higher power that could love me unconditionally, despite the fact that I have a lot of flaws. Therefore, I came to believe in a power higher than human power, greater than any human being, and a being that was able to do more than any human I know. And once I was able to come to believe in that power, hold them in my mind, picture them, then, and only then, it became a step I could say and I could mean it. I have come to believe, it wasn't there to begin with, but I have now come to believe that a power higher than human power could restore me to sanity. Doesn't mean it happens the first day. Doesn't mean it'll be in any specific time period, but I believe it's possible that a power higher than human power could restore me to sanity. And again, there's that last word. What in the world does sanity mean? There are so many medical diagnosable conditions referred to as insanity, and that wasn't my problem. I'm not diagnosing or declaring myself as having any form of mental illness. But in the language of the 1930s, when the steps were written, the opposite of a person who is insane is a person who is sober. Today we would say it means you're not drunk. Back then, sober meant you just were a sensible person with a level head and your emotions were under control and you were a good person to be around. That's what sober meant. Remember, sometimes you'll hear them say sober as a judge. Just means a level-headed person. So if there's a power higher than human power that can restore me to sanity, I'd say probably when I was a child, I was fairly sane. I had normal emotions, normal appetites, but I think based on how I was once I got into severe